So if God works through people, doesn't it make sense that the devil also works through people? Recently, I've been feeling like I've been getting literally spiritually attacked and had people coming into my life that present themselves as light, but are actually not. They're darkness. And so in today's episode, I'm going to go over a few different experiences I've had lately where in hindsight vision, I look back and I'm like, that definitely was a spiritual attack. What that looked like for me, how I'm trying to avoid it moving forward, and the fact that we constantly are talking about how God works through our lives and how God approaches us, but we don't really talk about the other side of that. So here we go, RD2H Road to Happiness, building our dream realities, one life lesson at a time. So I've had some pretty trippy experiences happening to me lately, and call me religious, but I 100% believe that there are some things going on that we aren't aware of, okay? This physical reality is not the only thing that is in front of us. There are things behind the scenes that we can't see, right? So I think I've been so caught up in my day-to-day life, my physical reality. Oh, I don't have meetings set. Oh, things aren't going my way. Oh, today is hard, that I'm missing the bigger picture of like my life purpose, what I'm trying and setting out to do, and like the impact I'm trying to make. I'm so focused on the page I'm on that I'm forgetting that there's a whole book. Okay, I'm so focused on the chapter, I'm not focused on the book. So recently I've had a few really trippy experiences that kind of opened my eyes to, oh wait, this is bigger than myself. What I'm trying to do, the life path I'm on, it is bigger than myself, and it's so easy, even when you're so certain of what your purpose is, to get caught up in the day-to-day life. So I have had, like I said, a few experiences. First off, I was in a very vulnerable place, and the Bible literally talks about how the devil disguises himself as light. It talks about how the devil will take your vulnerabilities, and we have free will. So he will try to trick you, and I was tricked. He got me good. So I was in a very vulnerable spot in my life. Like, I hadn't really realized that I had taken my eyes off of God. I had been letting fear, doubt, uncertainty just flood my everyday thinking, and I was in a scarcity mindset. And we talk about it all the time, and I'm sure even if you're not Christian, abundance mindset brings you abundance. If you think that you're going to get something, that is half the battle of getting that thing. And so when you're constantly flooded with, oh, things are gonna go bad, negativity, scarcity, fear, then you're going to attract negativity, scarcity, fear, and bad things in your life. And so without realizing it, my mindset has shifted into a lack mindset. And I was just kind of attracting that in my life, whether it was at work and not having meetings, whether it was losing contests, bad things happening. I was so caught up in worrying about tomorrow that I had forgotten that today takes care of itself. And so I was in a vulnerable place where I had just gotten ghosted by a guy, I had gone on a few dates, and I was really just trying to outsource my happiness, trying to outsource my stability, and not looking to God for that stability. I made an episode last week about how I had been looking for external things to bring me stability, and that I needed to be looking internally to bring that stability through daily habits and daily goals, so that no matter what life brought my way, I'm able to handle it. And where those things do matter, where hitting my daily goals in the last 2 weeks have brought me a little bit more stability, have made me feel better in my day-to-day life, what I was really missing is outsourcing my stability, not internally, but to God. I had lost sight of God without even realizing it. I was going to church still. I was praying still. I was listening to music, Christian music still. And yet I had not had my full faith and trust in God that things were going to work out. So therefore, I was looking for that kind of stability and certainty in things that aren't Him. And of course, they didn't work out. And so when I was in that very vulnerable spot, when I was thinking lack, fear and uncertainty, and it was consuming my everyday thoughts, I decided that dating was what I was going to do in order to kind of bring me some safety, because I felt so unsafe, right? And so The devil disguises himself as light, he preys on our vulnerability, and he sends exactly who he needs to send to get you off track and off of your life purpose, especially when God has given you clear instructions of what he's asked of you. And so he sends me this guy that literally, I thought it was light. I thought he was a good guy. I thought he was great. And to the extent, guys, that I go to this guy's apartment and he knows I'm religious. I wear a cross around my neck. I go to church every Sunday. I have a cross tattoo. It is not a secret that I'm very religious, that I follow God and I try to follow God, but I hadn't realized I hadn't been following him full-heartedly lately. And so the devil sends me this guy, and say what you will, but on my life, the devil sends me this guy. He presents himself as light. He presents himself as a great guy. In fact, I go to his house and he puts a Bible out on the freaking counter, guys. He puts a Bible out and he says, "Look, Natalie, there's a Bible." Okay, if that is not manipulation, the devil knows the Bible too. The devil will use it against you. And so he puts a Bible on the counter. And he's like, "Look, Natalie, there's the Bible. I'm religious too." This guy was not religious, okay? And he ends up being this really bad, manipulative, pretty much psychopath, okay? Like a very bad guy. This guy was a very bad guy. And so that kind of opened my eyes to the first time in my life that I had experienced somebody presenting themselves as light and good and like having values and equality, and had actually been very shallow, manipulative, and just not what they presented themselves to be. It was the first time in my life that I had experienced something that I was like, this seems like light, but it's actually fooling me. It's actually manipulation. And so I'd never seen that in a real human being before. And then so when I look back on it, I was in a place of vulnerability. I was in a place where I was walking away from God without knowing it, and when that guy was sent into my life. And so I'm like, okay, now that I'm living in LA, and again, say what you will, one of the darkest cities in the world, okay, there's some things going on in this city that are just humanly unexplainable. I'm sorry, it's so true. The things that I've seen in this city are just crazy, absolutely insane when we're talking about light and darkness, okay? So then I am spiraling. I'm like kind of just trying to find a reason, and I'm without realizing so far from God, okay? And so I decide that I'm gonna go out clubbing in Los Angeles, which you cannot get into a lower spiritual, like, vibrational plane than at the nightclubs at 6 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. Okay, so that is like somewhere I don't belong. I do not belong in the clubs at 6 a.m. in LA, okay? So I go there, and there's so many lost people there. That's where the lost souls, where the low vibrational people go to numb out, right? So I'm at this club, and I am walking around and just kind of going on a side quest. And I run into this guy. And this guy is tapped into the spiritual plane in a way that I've never seen in my entire life. It is on some other thing, okay? He's on some other shit. So I start talking to him, and he stopped me. He stopped me, and he goes, hey, like, there's something different about you. And I'm like, what? And we get into a conversation. He's like, everybody here, like, they're lost. They're looking for something. You have a story that's being written, and you're so in your head right now that you're just not finishing the story. And mind you, I'm a little drunk, so I don't remember everything we had in this conversation, but I remember being like, oh my God, he's saying things about my life that you wouldn't know, okay? So he keeps talking to me. He's like, you just got out of a 2-month thing with something that you thought was good, and it ended up not being how it presented itself. He's like, you are on a path right now that is walking you towards something bigger than yourself, but you're just so caught up in it that you're not finishing out the story. You're in like a rough gray zone on this path. And he's like telling me everything about my life, and I'm feeling it on a spiritual level. I'm feeling it, right? And I'm like, okay, this guy like knows something. He's tapped into something that most people don't understand. He's tapped into the spiritual reality. And then I want to know more. I'm like, I get his number. I'm like, I want to know more. And then I leave the club, and something like dawns on me, like I get discernment, and I'm like, okay, well, I just had this one experience where somebody presented themselves as light and ended up not being that thing. I can feel the negative energy kind of circling me lately, but I can't feel God's presence, and like that has been a big thing in the last couple of weeks for me. I'm like, I feel the like enemy around me. I feel the attacks. I feel the spiritual warfare. I feel people that aren't safe coming into my life. I feel it, but I don't feel God's presence. And I was like, okay, so this guy, which he seemed like positive, he seemed like light, he seemed like he knew everything about my life, he seemed like he was tapped into something else. And after I left the club, I was like, okay, but is this light or is this darkness? Because I'm learning a life lesson right now that darkness can present itself as light, and how to discern that, and how to realize not everything that you see that is good is actually good. So the fact that I just felt like this might be darkness presenting itself as light made me not contact that guy again. I was like, okay, I don't know right now where I am on my spiritual path, how to discern from, fake light and actual light. So I took my intuition and didn't respond to his text messages. And then fast forward 3 days, this guy hasn't texted me at all, right? And I'm talking to my sister, and I'm telling her about this experience I had at the club. I'm telling her about this experience about this guy who seemed like he was tapped into something bigger than the physical reality. And he's telling me all of these things about my life, and he knows things that you wouldn't just know unless you had that intuitive gift. And as I'm telling my sister about this weird experience I had at the club, the guy texts me. And I'm talking like in the most profound moment. Like as I'm in the middle of talking about him and telling my sister about him, 3 days after meeting him, and he hadn't texted me before, I get a text message and I'm like, oh my God, that's him. He just texted me. And he's like, oh, it was great to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Just trying to like build that connection again. As soon as I say that, both me and my sister get this overwhelming feeling of like illness. Like, when like the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, or like you see something that is like kind of disturbing and you just get that feeling like, I know it's true. Like, I know that happened. I know it's true. Like, you get that discernment, you get that intuitive feeling like there's something not right here. So when he texts me, my sister all the way over in Florida is like, dude, I feel sick to my stomach right now. Like, you cannot respond to that guy. There is something energetically bad about this. And so I'm like, yeah, I feel it too. But like the hairs on my back of my neck literally stood up. Like, I'm getting the discernment, I'm getting the intuition. And so then I look up this guy, because I'm in real estate, so I have the ability, and I use it to do background checks on people. So I put his phone number in to the search bar to find his name, his information, everything. I do a Google search on this guy, and you'll never guess it. So he was involved in a shooting of a 14-year-old boy, like in 2021. Okay, like he was charged and arrested for attempted murder on a shooting. And when I tell you that when I met this guy at the club, he seemed so genuine and good, and he seemed like like I said, he was tapped into something other than this reality. Like, he knew things about me, and he was like reading me like a psychic, okay? And so he ends up being a very evil spirit. Like, I literally feel like I've made contact with the devil in the city. I feel like I've made contact with like literal demons, like some people that are not driven by God, but driven by the enemy on a different playing field than I've ever experienced in my life. And so this guy ends up being literally having charges against him. And I would have never known that had I not done a Google search on him. And so that was insane. Between the guy that presented himself as light, used the Bible against me to manipulate me and trick me into thinking he was a good guy, and then this guy who literally seemed like a freaking psychic and ends up being probably one of the darkest souls I have come across in a really long time. or ever, to be honest. I am learning right now that the devil will send people your way, and the devil will use people the same way that, God uses us to bring people into his kingdom. The devil will use other people to try to trick you, to get you off of your path and get you distracted, to get you to fall for false light. And so I'm like kind of reading people differently now. I'm like, okay. And now when I look back on it, that conversation, yeah, he was tapped into something else. The fact that he intuitively texted me as I was talking to my sister, he's tapped into something that is unexplainable, like in this realm. But when I look back on our conversation at the bar, he never mentioned God. He mentioned a bunch of spirituality. He mentioned energy. He mentioned the vibrational planes. He mentioned all of these things that, relate to as somebody who's walking with God, but he never mentioned God himself. And so I think that's a big, red flag that, yeah, he was clearly tapped into something that's bigger than us, but he never mentioned God. And I'm seeing that, yes, people do, this is a new spiritual playing field for me. This is a new level where I have not come across people using God to trick me, or using spirituality, or being able to discern the difference between light and darkness. Because if we, as Christians, and if you are on a similar light path as me and you are following God, have discernment and have intuitive gifts and have the ability to, follow your purpose and feel like God has placed you on a certain purpose, then 100% the devil gives his children gifts too. The devil gives his children discernment too. He gives them purposes too, but they're not for good of the world. They're to bring evil into this world, and I'm meeting those people in this city, and it's something I've never experienced before. And so, like I said last week, I was talking about how I've been outsourcing my stability externally when I need to be getting my stability internally through my daily habits. But in reality, I woke up this week and realized I need to be getting my stability through God, and that God is the missing piece. And so after that experience with that guy and my sister, I just felt so much evil around me. I felt so much negativity. I felt so much low vibration around me. And so I literally dropped to my knees and I started praying, and I was like, God, I don't feel you lately. I didn't realize that I had walked off the path. I didn't realize that I let go of your hand, but I'm in the middle of the storm and I'm sinking now because I don't feel you. I just feel the enemy. Where are you? And I'm talking to God, and I'm like, how do I get closer to you? How do I get back onto the path? I need you. That is what is missing right now. I am not walking with you. And so fast forward 3 days after I prayed that, my coworker has been nonstop calling me, nonstop sending me texts saying, you need to go to this church group. You need to go lock into this Bible study. Come out tonight. Come out Thursday. Come out Sunday. He keeps inviting me to these church things. And so I'm like, oh no, I'm really busy with work. I have to hit my daily goals at work. And mind you, this is during the period where I'm unknowingly drifting from God and letting fear, doubt, uncertainty, and looking for external stability, and not realizing it's because I had let my eyes off of God. So I'm like, no, it's okay, it's okay. And then after I prayed, and I'm like, God, I need to get closer to you. I need to get closer to you. How do I do that? He texts me again. He invites me again. And at this point, I'm like, you've invited me 3, 4, 5 times, and you keep being absolutely so persistent. And he keeps saying, Natalie, God has placed it on my heart for me to invite you to this. God has placed it on my heart for me to invite you to this. And so finally, I'm like, honestly, I need to get closer to God, so let me try this. So I go to this event that he invites me to, finally, on the 5th time that he invites me. And I meet this girl at the event, and she's like, oh, it's great to meet you. like, we introduced ourselves and everything, and she's like, we're about to hit a Bible study. If you're ever free, we do it a couple times a week. Like, you're always welcomed. I can get your number if you ever want to come to this Bible study. And I'm like, well, I'm already here right now, so why don't I just join the Bible study you guys are about to do? And she's like, really? Like, you would be down to do it right now? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm trying to get closer to God. I don't feel his presence as strongly as I usually do, and I'm already here. So yeah, like, why don't I join you guys for Bible study? So I sit at this Bible study last night, and it is like the complete opposite of what I experienced at the club. This Bible study ends up literally being like a reading on me, except in the most light, godly way ever. She is reading right out of the Bible, and she's like going verse by verse on what I'm currently going through in my life. It was like God was speaking through her, but the difference was, it wasn't, you know, like the negative energy I had experienced at the club, where it was like, oh, this is what's happening in your life, and like, you're like all about vibrational stuff and all not talking about God. Everything that she said, every verse that she pulled, every, you know, thing that she said was completely directed in my life. But the answer at the end of it, after everything she said, was, you need to read the Bible. You need to read the Bible. And so the Bible study was just like so immensely, like, I literally stopped her in the middle of it, and I was like, did you already have these verses planned out? Like, how are you pulling verse after verse after verse? That's exactly what we're talking about right now, what I'm going through, and just so, like, eerily relevant to my life. And she's like, I'm just doing what I feel. Like, I'm just picking the verse that I feel called to pick. And so 100% God was working through her to bring me to reading the Bible. I had prayed 3 days prior, and I had said, God, how do I get closer to you? And he brings me to the exact spot, the exact person I need to meet to answer my question. How do you get closer to me, Natalie? You get in your Bible. How do you get away from this negativity, away from this evil presence you keep feeling? You get in your Bible, and you have not been reading it the way I need you to read it. And he brought me to exactly the place that I needed to be, and the, like, person I needed to meet the second that I asked him to do it. The second I got on my knees and I said, how do I get closer to you? He said, I've been waiting for you to ask that question. And he brought me to the Bible study group that I needed to realize that the answer to my question was, I have not been reading my Bible. I've not been in my Bible. And so if God is working through someone like her, and I no doubt God was working through her to bring me the messages that I needed, the exact verses I needed, and the answer to my prayer, how do I get closer to you? Then the devil is working through people too. When I had drifted unknowingly away from God, the devil sent exactly what I wanted. Exactly the kind of guy I wanted. He sent the exact kind of situation I wanted, disguised itself as light when it was actually to harm me. He sent somebody at the club when I had drifted from God, and I was trying to find that peace, that like numbness, that I was trying to fill a void through something other than God, and the devil sent somebody that was on a spiritual playing field that I would recognize, and hoped that I would fall into the trap of thinking it was light. The devil has been sending people to me because I have been in a vulnerable spot where I've been looking in other directions other than God, and he saw that and used it as a spiritual attack and a way to trick me. And when I realized and I opened my eyes to that and I looked back to God and I said, God, how do I get closer to you? He then put me in a situation where I could get the answer to that. Get in your Bible. Get your discernment back. Get closer to the kingdom. Because the peace and stability that I've been looking for, that I've been searching for in relationships, in work, in finances, is not going to come through even internally me and my habits and everything else. It's going to come through God. It's like he is the gateway. He is the door that is going to bring the peace and fulfillment that I'm looking for, going to give me the strength to get through the season that I'm currently in, give me everything that I need to handle the uncertainty in my life right now, to handle the fact that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, because I have not had enough faith in him that he will take care of tomorrow. So I have been so stressed out and carrying all of the burdens myself, and I am not strong enough to do that. And so I have been spiraling. I have been in a negative thought, and to me, in my reality, I thought I was walking with God when I had accidentally taken my eyes off him and given the negative energy and the enemy a position to come into my life and trick me. And so now I'm scratching everything I said in the last episode. Absolutely, the habits have been helping me. The daily goals have been helping me. The stability I'm trying to build in my life through my actions is helping me. But what is missing is that I have not been as close with God as I was. And like when I got to LA, I had this discernment. I had this, no matter what happens, God has me. I had this unwavering faith that really showed in my energy, in my work, in everything that I was handling. People noticed it. They were like, how are you so confident in the fact that everything's going to work out? And it's because I had this faith in God that I lost somewhere along the way with all of the hits I was taking, with all of the bad things that were happening, with all of the false hope, with all of the work that wasn't coming through. I had lost my faith in him, and therefore I had lost that edge that actually allows me to follow my path and to be this person that is unexplainably just so focused on my purpose. And the missing piece is God. I cannot walk this path without him. And so that's what I realized this week. And that was my life lesson for the week, is that sometimes you don't even realize that you get your eyes off the ball. Like, you don't realize that you're no longer walking with God. You don't realize that your faith is not as strong as it was, and that you're trying to take control of your life yourself. I was trying to control my life. Oh, I'm lonely. I'll fix that. Oh, my finances are bad. I'll work harder. Oh, I'm not sure things are going at work anymore. I'll force it. But there is no forcing it. It is in the faith in God that I'm able to do the things that I'm able to do. It is in my faith in God that I was able to move solo to Los Angeles, that I'm able to build a brokerage career, that I'm able to handle so much uncertainty on a daily basis. And the second that I lose him, I lose it all. Okay? And I've gone weeks. And this is another thing. I've gone weeks at work during this period of not realizing I wasn't walking with him. Not a single meeting book, not a client, nothing. I've been dry, and I've been trying to counteract that by working harder, by doing more, by pushing myself to my absolute physical limits, trying to force outcomes. And this week, I got on my knees and I surrendered, and I said, dude, like, nothing is working out for me right now, and I can't do this, and I need to get closer to you. And the second I did that, and the second I surrendered and started to have my faith grow back in God and say, I can't handle this. I can't handle what's going on in my life right now, and I don't know how things are going to work out, but I need you. I need to feel you again. I don't feel your presence. The second I did that, not only did he show up again, and I could genuinely feel him. Like, I was in the car on the way home this week, and there's a Christian song that came on, and I could just feel his presence. And I was like, God, I've missed you. Like, I literally said out loud, I was like, I feel you, and I've missed you. I'm so happy that you're back. Like, I missed you. And this week, I had 4 meetings set. 2 of them active sellers. I had 4 meetings. I have been dry. I have had nothing at work for weeks and weeks on end. The second I surrendered back to him, and I tried to go back to him and back to what originally got me on this path in the first place, 4 meetings set. And so I'm realizing I don't have control over my life. I don't have what it takes to do this alone. There is nothing that is going to click or happen or move forward without him. He is the catalyst to everything I'm building, to the podcast, to the brokerage, to the message, to my strength, to my ability to actually do it. Do I have the mindset, determination, grit, and work ethic to get there? Yes. But without him, I am nothing. And so, especially in the city where I'm going and the doors that are going to open, this is not the last time the devil is going to send people my way to try to trick me, to turn me off of my path, stop me from completing my purpose. And so this week's life lesson is, during my process of growth, during my process of getting to who I want to be, I'm going to share so many mindset tips. I'm going to share so many different lessons that I learned, so many different things that in my life that make me move differently and think differently and etc. But at the end of the day, if you want the happiness, peace, and fulfillment, and if you want to walk in your path, the key ingredient is God Himself. God is the one thing that is going to guide you to who you can be. And so I'll share so many other things throughout my journey here on this podcast that isn't necessarily directed towards God and is about my life and the lessons I'm learning. But the key ingredient of it all is Him. And He is the doorway to peace, fulfillment, happiness, and our dream realities and fulfilling our purpose. And in that, there is going to be spiritual warfare. And the more that we walk this path and the more that we move forward, the more we're going to learn on how to combat the enemy. So that is this week's lesson. I am getting into my Bible. I am starting with the book of John, and I urge you that if you've been feeling lost lately, follow God. God is the first step onto the path. So I love you guys. I'll see you again next week for another episode of RD2H Road to Happiness, building our dream realities, one life lesson at a time. Bye.